Don't start without me. Don't start without me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. It's okay. We can start the show now. Okay. It's my favorite time of year again here on the Punchline. It's the most wonderful time of year. Even better, it's Reuben season, and we have a whole lot of nominees to cover for this year's Reuben. So, let's not waste any time. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Punchline. I'm your comic strip critic, and once again, we are on the road to Reuben Mania. Like I said, our next two videos are going to be covering the nominees for Best Newspaper Comic Panel and Best Newspaper Comic Strip. So if anybody else wants to take a look at Best Feature Animation or TV Animation, by all means, you have my blessing, go nuts. But that still leaves us with 6 nominees to cover for the Silver Reuben Awards today. That's a whole lot of territory to cover, so let's just see who our nominees are. And we'll start off with Best Newspaper Comic Panel, because, to be honest, that's a category that I actually have a little bit of trouble with. I suppose I should clarify what I mean when I say that. I don't dislike panel comics, not at all. Like many other comics enthusiasts, I love The Far Side, and I also adore Close to Home and Bizarro. And remember, Toonerville Trolley, a classic single-panel comic, holds a very special place in my heart. But when it comes time to comparing them, that's a very difficult task, at least for me. You see, I like to review comics with a consistent cast of characters, which lets me get a solid feel over time for the cartoonist's writing and art style, since I have a solid, steady baseline with which to compare. Panel comics are nearly always gag-a-day affairs, which feel less like having my own house and more like getting relocated to a new apartment every day of my life. Sure, it might all be from the same creator, and some of those houses might be wonderful, but jumping from place to place like that, it just means I can never really get comfortable. But with all that said, let's take a look at this year's Best Panel nominees. Dave Blazek's Loose Parts, Mark Parisi's Off the Mark, and Hilary Price's Rhymes with Orange. Now, 2 of these nominees have actually appeared on the Punchline before, multiple times, so let's briefly go over their work first before highlighting our new challenger. Mark Parisi's comic Off the Mark was actually one of the first Reuben winners covered here on the show. It also appeared in last year's Silver Reuben nominees. Yeah, Off the Mark is also prone to my accidentally goofing up information on it. I accidentally showed a photo of an actor named Mark Parisi instead of the cartoonist the first time I covered it back in 2012, and threw up a comic from the Argyle sweater when talking about Off the Mark in last year's Silver Reuben video. I apologize, Mr. Parisi. I'm very sorry. So let's be sure we get it right this time. This is Off the Mark, drawn by award-winning cartoonist Mark Parisi. My text is messing with me again, isn't he? I really hate you sometimes. The longest running of the 3 nominees, having been around since 1987, Mark Parisi's work is a crisply drawn, brightly colored comic. It's fun artwork all around, and the writing's also clever, with a good combination of clever visual gags and smart writing to bring humor to the table. It's a solid entry in this year's Reuben's competition. Hilary Price's Rhymes with Orange was actually a contender for the Cartoonist of the Year award last year. And unlike our other Best Panel nominees, it's run in the longer format of many comic strips. I'm still confused as to what exactly the difference between a panel and a strip is. If Dilbert ran nothing but single-panel comics for a year, would that make it eligible for the Best Panel award? Celebrating its 20th anniversary since syndication this year, Rhymes with Orange has a very rough and sketchy look to it, which is really a standout look in the field this year. And it has a strong track record, having won the Best Panel award 3 times before now. Definitely a powerhouse contender to consider this year. Which brings us to our new face in this competition, Dave Blazek and his comic panel, Loose Parts. The youngest of our 3 competitors, Loose Parts was originally a 2-man job, like Baby Blues, Dick Tracy, or Mega Tokyo. John Gilpin served as the comic's illustrator from 1999 to 2001, whereupon he stepped down from the role and Blazek became the sole cartoonist. Loose Parts has also been nominated for Best Panel once before in 2010. Now, I've compared single-panel comics to The Far Side before, but oh boy, Loose Parts takes it to a whole nother level. I mean, look at those bugs. Do those bugs look familiar to you at all? Because, they really should. Sometimes I read Loose Parts and I swear that Dave Blazek is really just Gary Larson in costume. But you know what? I have no problem with that whatsoever. So, of our 3 nominees, who would I be casting my non-existent vote for this year? Well, it's actually a much easier decision this year round. In my opinion, the Best Panel Silver Reuben Award would be going to Dave Blazek and his work on Loose Parts. Congratulations to the rookie of the group. This is subject to personal taste, but I just felt that Loose Parts was the funniest of our 3 nominees. The jokes are absurdist, smart, and they're just hilarious. And I think it's the best drawn of the 3 as well, just by a little bit. It has a nice, sharp, clean style, which I like, but it also has the most detail in the shadows. It has the best artwork, it has the best writing. What more could you want from your comic strips? You're terrible, you know that? Anyways, our next category is the longer, skinnier counterpart to the Best Comic Panel. And there are a lot of familiar faces this year. The Best Comic Strip. You know what? That is it. I am sick and tired of you messing with my show all the time. No. Get back here. I'm not done with you yet. Our nominees for Best Comic Strip have all been covered here on the Punchline before, but it's been quite a while since we've seen them. The nominees are Stephen Pastis' Pearls Before Swine, Brian Bassett's Red and Rover, and Glenn McCoy's The Duplex. Pearls Before Swine has gotten the most coverage here on the show before, so we'll get that out of the way first to focus on our less discussed competitors. Stephen Pastis' simply drawn, masterfully written comic follows the bizarre adventures and conversations of his anthropomorphic cast of pig, rat, goat, guard duck, zebra, and of course, my favorite, the Crocs. Having won the Silver Reuben once before in 2003, Pastis is in the running for both the Silver Reuben Award and the Outstanding Cartoonist of the Year Award, just like last year. Several of the Pearls comics have gone viral recently, notably a comic spoofing the classic Who's on First routine, and a recent Sunday strip that mocked a number of subcultures for thinking of themselves as superior. No joke, Pastis actually admitted that he hasn't gotten that much hate mail since he accidentally offended the entire nation of Turkey. That is an astonishing amount of angry bikers and vegans. Despite all of his trolling and exquisitely crafted puns, Pearls Before Swine remains one of the biggest strips of the modern era. Red and Rover has been around just as long as Pearls has, and is a previous Best Strip winner, having won in 2013. This wonderfully drawn comic is centered around the classic duo of a boy and his dog. It's very simply written, but there is a lot of warm charm to be found in the interaction between the miniature man and man's best friend. The jokes here aren't quite as laugh-out-loud funny as those in Pearls Before Swine, but I don't think they're trying to be. There's definitely a different mood here that gives off a strong 1960s Norman Rockwell-style vibe to me, and it's a vibe that I really enjoy. Red and Rover is the decaf to Pearls Before Swine's double espresso. Our last nominee was, along with Off the Mark, the first Silver Reuben Award winner announced here on the Punchline. Glenn McCoy's The Duplex won both the 2004 and 2011 Silver Reubens, and he's looking to do it here again for a third time. The Duplex's character designs are a far cry from any others we've seen today. These characters have wildly exaggerated necks, lips, chins, and oh, I know I'm forgetting something else. Oh wait, it's those ungodly huge noses. I like the scenery and backgrounds in the Duplex when they're on display, but I have to admit that there's something about the character design that freaks me out a little bit. Perhaps it's because Eno and his dog Fane's noses are so grotesquely large next to such tiny arms and eyes and legs that it just triggers my uncanny valley sense, but I can never read the duplex for long enough to really get invested in what's going on. I wish I could because the writing and jokes here are excellent. Really funny stuff to read through if you enjoy the character designs more than I do. So, of our 3 potential nominees, who would I be casting my vote for this year? Oh, well... yeah, I promise I'll get it fixed tomorrow. Anyways, I would be casting my vote for Brian Bassett and his work on Red and Rover. I just like the artwork here better than the other nominees, which in a primarily visual medium is arguably the most important thing to consider. Sometimes Bassett prefers simplicity in his work, but when he cuts loose and goes all out, it's just beautiful. Simply gorgeous. The writing might not always be as clever or intense as Pearls Before Swine, but like I said, it's not trying to be. It's trying to be the heartwarming story of a boy and his dog. It's trying to be Old Yeller before Old Yeller got Old Yellered. And it succeeds wonderfully in that regard. Ah, can it, you wannabe word balloon. So those are my nominees for the Silver Reuben Awards: Dave Blazek's Loose Parts and Brian Bassett's Red and Rover. Let me know what you thought of my decisions down in the comments below. I would love to know what you guys think. I would love to know who you would vote for, and of course, I would like to know why. There's still one more category to cover for the Reuben Awards. The great big one. The Outstanding Cartoonist of the Year. But that's gonna have to wait until next time. Until then though, I'm your comic strip critic, and I read the funny pages in the hope that someday everybody knows who the nominees are and who the award winners are. See you next time.